Ask Us Anything is based on Wu-Sabat. Wu-Sabat is not a religion, it's a culture. The oldest culture on the planet, of the oldest people on the planet, from whom everybody else comes from and borrowed our culture in some way, shape or form. And it got watered down into religion and the different philosophies that, people are running with today. However, we're trying to bring that back to the center, bring it back to the source. You can only go so far before you return to the source. Everything is connected to the source. The source is Wu-Sabat. Wu-Sabat is about peace. It's about world peace. It's about love and unity. And we need everyone to do their part. Reach one, teach one, each one teach one. Because we're living in a day and time of truth. And truth will prevail. Many people are waking up worldwide. So, you can help us by watching the videos, sharing them, subscribing, liking. That helps the algorithm and that helps us to put out more content. And of course, if you feel it in your heart and you know that we're working for you so hard and you want to donate and support us in any way with whatever, we're very, very appreciative of that. So please do so if you can. Okay, let's see if we can get into the questions. Remember, you can call in live as well. I'm going to wait a while before I give out the number, just in case, we don't get to most of the chat, the messages in the chat, in the live chat. Okay, so let's see what we got. Okay, I've been watching since last week every day, falling asleep to the Knowledge New Orleans. That's from OK Will, if I'm pronouncing it properly. Yeah, I'm like that. Like, I'm not one of those people that, like, if I like a series on, say, Netflix or whatever, right? I'm not one of those people that's going to watch one episode a week and wait for months to get over it. I just next, binge watch, as they say. I just watch all of it because I got too many things to do. We're busy, man. I ain't got time to be watching a series for months. Some people like to take their time and savor it and watch one episode a week and all that. Nah, I just watch. So when I get into a subject of something that touches me, I'm passionate about. I remember when I got into the whole like coding, as in computer programming, I was just on it all the time. The same when I got into crypto. There's certain subjects that you get into that are just so, like, they touch you to a point where you just study or get into it, So I can relate to what you're saying, watching all day, all night. All right, let's see what we got. Mississippi in the house too. Wow. Leonard Clark, welcome. Shamika, Rahul Bat. Yeah, so you've been watching all week. That's great. Who are the 5%ers and what did Malcolm X learn when he went to Mecca? That's from Irvin Robinson. Yeah, the 5%ers are an offshoot off of the Nation of Islam. So the Nation of Islam, once the Honorable Elijah Muhammad crossed over or passed away, many people went in different directions. And this is what normally happens with many organizations, even, with the religious organizations, normally when somebody that is the founder passes, people want to, they may have squabbles, infighting, disagreements, and they want to go off in a direction. This is what happened with Christianity, with people that didn't believe that, the Sabbath should be on a Saturday. Some said it should be on a Sunday. So you get splinter groups. You get people that protested against certain things. They became the Protestants. You got people that wanted to remain to the original Catholic or Catholicism, and they, and then you just get all splinter groups. It happens even within many of our organizations, like the Nation of Islam. So the 5%ers are an offshoot of Nation, and they basically call themselves gods and goddesses, But the thing about it, if you really think about it, it's important with the names as well. When you have a name, somebody's name normally means something and it has an origin. And it's like, why would you call yourself 5%? So that means the 95% are more. But, you know, their doctrine, yeah, so that's who they are. And in terms of what happened to Malcolm when he went to Mecca, he came back not being as militant, and you know, he kind of started to become a little bit more, his message changed. It was more about, you know, everyone should come together, everyone peace, love and all that. Whereas before that, he had that very by any means necessary kind of talk. And in a way, he kind of became more passive when he went to Mecca and came back. So when you say, what did Malcolm X learn when he went to Mecca? He kind of learned or was given the impression that, which is supposed to be the case in terms of all Muslims are supposed to be brothers and there shouldn't be any racism and so on and so forth, but that's not actually the case. So it was a bit of a contradiction. But he came back teaching a different message of brotherly love and everyone should come together. But till this day, there are still divisions and differences and racism in Islam. So, okay, let's keep going. Greetings down. I got that ready. All right, let's see. Is our past that must become our future? It's all happening kind of at the same time because you're really creating your future. This is why it's important that what we do now has an effect on what people are calling the future, because it is really about now. Because, you know, you want to build something, like you have to have the blueprint, or we say black print, and then you manifest that, you bring that to life by doing what's necessary to make it happen. So we're not like, okay, the future's already given and so we don't have to do anything and just wait. No, it doesn't work that way, because you have the ability to create the future by way of your present, the actions. And that's why it's important with Wu-Sabat that it's not just, there's a balance. It's not just knowledge. You ask questions to get to a point where you clarify the confusion and the things that you've believed all your life that may not be true. And now you come into Wu-Sabat, you get your answers. It's not to remain in a position of being skeptical. You're just skeptical for the sake of being skeptical or becoming a doubting Thomas. Once you get your questions answered, you should then start to act and put it to practice by coming in and becoming one of the people that is then helping others to get to where you are. So yes, it's all about the now. This is from Anton Moore. Jamal Saken, here in Oregon, the land is starting to shift as sinkholes are becoming more noticeable all over the place. Yeah, what's been going on in the current affairs in the news and all that? Today I found it funny. One of the things I caught, I hardly watch televised vision. I'm mainly on YouTube, like you all are watching Wu-Sabat stuff. But yeah, I saw, you know, the Pope apparently went to hospital, and it was amazing. I'm like, I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, but you're meant to be like God's right-hand man. Like, what's going on? How comes he never had your back? Why'd you have to go to a hospital while you're in a wheelchair? You got thousands of people trying to say, you know. Obviously, I'm not saying, you know, anyone who goes through any health issues or whatever, or any, you know, issues with their health, we want them to get well and so on, right? But I'm just saying he's in that position, like, where you say you're the intercessor between God and humanity. You've been put in that position, but yet you act like you don't have the protection because you ride in a bulletproof Pope mobile, as the master broke down one time. Like, everyone's telling you to want to go to be with God in heaven, but they don't want to die. So that's kind of a contradiction. I'm just saying sometimes these things are ironic when you're using Wu-Sabat to see through what's going on. And we ask the obvious questions like, you know, when all these catastrophes are happening, where is this all-powerful being? Like, where is he to protect you at that moment? You know, but yeah, I don't want to go too much into religion. Okay, let's keep going. The sinkholes, yeah, a lot of extraterrestrials are actually leaving the planet, and a lot of them had like crafts and things hidden. So once those are removed, or they take the equipment or whatever they had in that space, it creates a sinkhole. And a lot of sinkholes are starting to pop up because a lot have evacuated or are leaving the planet because there's so much risk of this planet, you know, having some serious catastrophes. So some are leaving and creating those, those sinkholes. Plus the shifts are happening naturally anyway with the, you know, the different platonic plates and moving because the planet is shifting and we're coming into a new era, new, you know, we talk about the sun cycle and that coming in, certain things are going to start to change. Civil, it says, from the books, the instructions for, I think that's chanting, are not clear. To channel your power, what is the way to do it to be able to connect spiritually? We have a video, we have many Telegram groups and family meetings and things where, you know, people chant together. The intentions are also important. So if you want to learn to chant properly, then that's what we're saying. It's not about staying on the outside and just trying to do it yourself. Although it is very powerful by yourself, it's actually better in togetherness and congregations and coming together because you generate more energy and you know, you're more powerful together. So I don't know what instructions you're referring to, but if you're not in the Telegram group, join the Telegram group because the videos are posted in there as well of how to do it properly. Okay, we don't have any adverts, right, on this live stream. So, you know, the best thing you can do to help us is to hit the like button and share it to friends and family. That will help us tremendously. Hatabu Ashok Sonra, Rahubat D. Shelton. Greetings, I'm confused. Are Riskians the same as the Anunnaki? I just watched a YouTube movie saying the Anunnaki are coming for the 144,000 in 2030. Is this true? All right, so information comes from outformation and it's constantly changing. And it's important to know terms like when we say Riskians, there's a planet called Risk where the master teacher comes from and other people come from. So those people that reside on Risk will be known as Riskians. Just like if you reside on this planet, the name of the planet is Earth. So you will be referred to as an Earthling, right? So, or Earthlings when we're plural. Now, if you think about who's on the planet, there are different races, different species, even animals are going to be Earthlings, right? It doesn't only pertain to the humanoids. So when you say Anunnaki, you break that down because you're dealing with Anu, who was referred to and is referred to as the Most High of the Sumerian doctrine or deities, and Na was the name of the planet. Sorry, it's actually the word for 50, and Ki is the name of the planet or the name of Earth at one stage. So when you're saying Anunnaki, you're saying the beings that Anu sent to the planet Ki in groups of 50s, which could contain many species. And when the master was taking us through the Sumerian school, because we went through many schools, right? At that point, although he had mentioned the Natharu by the term the Natiru, right? we were going through the Sumerian school, so we were learning about the Anunnaki, right? Because why? The walking backwards from religion, because the books of the religion come from, sorry, King, can you hear that? Is that, okay, cool. So the books of the Bible and the Quran and so forth, they were plagiarized from the Sumerian tablets. That's where they come from. So we had to learn about the Anunnaki and how they came to the planet, etc. So at that point, the doctrine was all about the Anunnaki and them coming for the 144,000. Have we got a call? Yeah. Okay. Since then, that whole 144,000 has been cleared up, talking about the beings that already came and took beings in Nome, Alaska. It's talking about different people, different species or races coming to collect their people. It's talking about the Natharu, which is separate from the Anunnaki. So it all depends on the context that it's being spoken about in and what time period that information was being relayed. All right. Rahubat caller, what's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Rahubat, my name is Tabo. I'm calling from South Africa.
Rahubat.
Yes, I've been reading some of the books about the master teacher. So I wanted to ask about the parotid gland. How was it removed and how will it be restored?
Okay. Tawat. Yeah. So the barothry gland was removed surgically and was done to maim beings. And remember, when we say, remember, once you've removed something from someone and then that person has offspring, over time, even though the ability that you had has been reduced, there were remnants of the gland left over in the socket that contained the gland. So you're saying, how will it be replaced? We literally had an update from the master teacher, which is in the Telegram group, and we even did a video on it where it's explaining that those that are worthy, because that gave you your higher senses, the telepathy, psychometry, clairvoyance, and intuition. So once it's replaced, it will be replaced in the submental region, and that connects to the area that activates the gland. All right, so that's what it's between this period, that it would be reinserted for those who are worthy or have actually made it to the point where they're worthy to receive that gland back, because you get use of your entire brain once it's reinserted. All right, we've got another call. Hey, greetings, Rahubat, as we say. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Hello, my name is Earl Ruhobat. I'm from Thailand, and how are you?
Yes, I'm good, doing my best.
Good. Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you for teaching us. Very good. Thank you very much. Excellent. I have a question with 2 or 3 parts.
Okay.
The Messiah, when he was on earth, if he did, the demons were afraid of him. What did he know, and what caused him to have the authority for demons to be afraid of him?
Okay. What's the other part?
And what is there any teachings that you all have, or a scroll that could help any of us to get to that level on the long term?
Okay. And the last one?
I think that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Right. So it's important when we say the Messiah, who are we talking about? Because religion gives you the impression that there's only been one Messiah. And most of the time, if you're coming from a religious background, especially Christianity, that becomes the person people refer to as Jesus. The word Messiah means anointed. And there were many people that were referred to as Messiah or Messiah types who were anointed. And by being anointed, it's a ritual or a ceremony that is performed, and that comes from ancient Egypt, okay, from the word karast, which became Christ. And So it's done with the crocodile, the oil from the crocodile was used in this, this anointing. And anybody that is able to raise their vibration and have the knowledge, they can also warn off what you're calling demons, because demons and negative or disagreeable beings resonate with like-minded beings. So, like if you start doing a lot of disagreeable or negative things, then your mindset is disagreeable and you're going to attract that energy. So anybody who is like applying Wu-Sabat and you're doing your chants and you're raising your vibration, you also can do that, because beings will not like to be in that type of environment. This is why you can go somewhere and some people will not be able to stand what we call your light or your energy, basically, because you being in their presence, it's like it affects them, just like you were affected by disagreeable or negative energy that comes into your presence if you're not feeling that vibration. Yeah. And in terms of how would you learn about this, we have many books that cover the basics from, like the birth of religion, black magic, white magic. We go into many, many titles that will give you the knowledge. And even the Bible and the Quran and the religious books tell you seek knowledge from cradle to grave, so you never stop learning. And in ancient Egypt, which was the place that had the most profound knowledge, this is why everybody was going to Egypt to be taught, and they were being taught. The pyramids were used as one of their objectives was to be used as schools to teach people. So they learned, you were able to be taught things like alchemy. This is what, the missing years of who they call Jesus, he was in Egypt being taught. And he learned alchemy. That's what he was doing by multiplying the loaves of bread and the fish and levitation, walking on water and all these kind of things. These are just sciences that once you understand and know how to do it, you can. And we're taught that through the orders, the sacred orders of the ancient Egyptian order, and even prior to that, the ancient and mystical order of Melchizedek. So even today you can still learn that. Once you get into the orders, we have orders like the brotherhood, the sisterhood, and other orders that you can be initiated in, but you have to obviously do the work and prove yourself worthy. So I hope that's answered that question for you. Right, let's keep going. All right, so we covered the Anunnaki one. So yes, beings are taking people all the time, not just waiting to 2030. But yes, there is the Natharu, who have crafts called manjits that are also coming to pick up and collect their children, the ones that make it. So you got Anunnaki, you got other races like, Pleiadians and different people that, knowing that, this planet could actually be destroyed, are preparing and picking up their children that are worthy. I am truth. I don't have to look for my MU self. Okay. How can someone be fully a part of Wu-Sabat? I cannot find a community in Dallas, Texas, but I truly appreciate all your videos and I'm ready to learn and commit to this way of life. We got a call? Right, I'm going to pin that, come back to it. Prince Yanu. Hey, Raul back, greetings. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your question, please?
Rahul Vaz is Travis from Belize.
Hey, Raul back.
Yeah, I have two questions to ask you. Why do we touch each other when we meet each other? Why do we have to touch each other when we greet? And the other one is, there's a lot of people that believe that ancient Egypt is in America and stuff like that. So I wanted to know where they got it from.
Sorry, what was that last part? I didn't hear it. Something.
A lot of people think ancient Egypt is in America. A lot of people are here with that
Right.
story,
Okay.
and
I got
I
you.
want to know where they got it from.
Okay. Got you. All right. Okay. So the greeting each other, why we again, when you say we, is that dealing with Sabians and Wapians? Because the handshake, there was a time when it wasn't good to do that because of, when there are viruses and certain things, like that's why, we would just bow and say Rahubat. But we do have certain greetings within the orders, again, as I mentioned, or like within family, because really, if you are family and you're carrying yourself and living Wu-Sabat, there should really be nothing to fear from. But it's also an exchange of energy, and everything gives or takes. So you should be able to, going back to the previous question, you can heal people by touching them, by exchanging. They may be feeling negative or feeling down, and by you giving them an embrace, you could help them. You can change that polarity for them. Yeah. So there are different reasons, but it's really about when we come together, we're able to cancel out and heal each other. So if the room is full of positive beings vibrating on a high vibration or high frequency, it will help those that are on the low to raise up. And this is why it's important for us to meet or gather. So the word together, to gather in congregations, and so we can basically have a more powerful interaction and help to heal each other, and we generate more energy, more power, more vibration, positive vibration when we're together. You heard the saying, how coming together they were able to bring down the walls of Jericho. This is the kind of power we have when we come together, and people that know how potent us coming together is and how powerful our energy is, they try to keep you on an individual mindset, and that's causing divisions and segregation, because when we're together, we generate heat because we all have that soul, the solar plexus, and that's the sun. And each sun coming together radiates and makes, the environment even more, powerful. Yeah. Yeah. So Prince Yanu, to be a part starts with you actually living Wu-Sabat, and as you say, you're already, reading and studying. And if you're nowhere near a community, then you have to find the nearest one. If not, remember, it's a temporary measure until we actually are able to come back together and gather, and we're actually working on many things to do that. At the moment, we are dispersed, and that was tying into the previous question, that was one of the reasons why, they had to try and get rid of us meeting in Tamaray, having our own land, where anybody from anywhere in the world could take, what they call in the Muslim world, they call that going to Hajj, but it was like somewhere you can come on a spiritual journey, do the Mugaraj ceremony and or ritual, and then interact with different people from all over the world that were about love, peace. So yeah, we have to get back to that community living, and yeah, we're working on that, and we are going to make that happen again. The whole point of dispersing us and dividing us goes back to the old trick of divide and conquer. Scientific Allah, I don't know what happened to the tall whites. I'm not sure where that reference is coming from or what it's being referred to as the tall whites. Otis, big up to the Wu, not into religion, but need to know more my people culture. Yes. All right, cool. Comments. No. evolve and elevate, like the name. Everyone is polarized by the system. Yeah, but you can be, with a system, you have systems within systems. Like, for example, if you take your body, you have different systems that are still working, even though they're working, it may appear separately, they're actually working together at the same time. So you have, like your skeletal system, you have your nervous system, your digestive system, your muscular system. There are many systems, the neuron system. So in any society, you can have circles within circles within circles. And this is why you're taught that you can be in the world, but not of it, you see. But what happens is people get caught up and they forget who they are, and they start to act and behave and do things like others and not themselves. So yeah, it's about, working your way out of that system, and that's what Wu-Sabat is here to do, to reignite you, to give you back the true knowledge.
That Travis had that question that pulled up.
Yeah.
It was why some people think ancient Egypt is America.
Oh yes. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, people think that why they think ancient Egypt's America is because America is actually built. If you look at, just take out your dollar bill and look at it, all the symbolism on it is all ancient Egypt. The pyramids, the Eye of Horus, and just everything is the history of Egypt. Now, the landmass was once all together before the continental drift and before it got divided. So the people that were indigenous to America are actually the same people that were indigenous to what you're calling Africa today. And you can do DNA by DNA. And that's when the whole land was called Ganawa, right? That's the original name for Africa. So, and Egypt is in Africa, although today a lot of people, when they think about Egypt, because it's been Arabicized, people think about it as, when people say our country, because again, I watched a video about that, what's that guy called, The Beast? Mr. Beast, yeah, he did a video where him and his crew were able to hire out the whole of Egypt for a period of time. I don't know if it was like a week, 100 hours, yeah. So that already shows you that it's been desecrated and it's now commercialized for someone to be able to hire the whole of Egypt for 100 hours, and every day they were trying to do something like go into the pyramids, go to the places that have never been, the chambers that have never been before, climb up to the top of it. They were just doing all kinds of stuff, and they were asking about how the pyramids were built. In fact, look out for our video coming out about the pyramids, right? So he was like, yeah, we built the pyramids. There was no extraterrestrials. And when he said we, he's talking about the Arabs that are now occupying what you're calling Egypt today. And everything never goes beyond 5,000 years. It was like, 4,300 years ago. They tried to, that's because it's all got to fit in with the 6,000 years of the Adamites. Even when we went on tour and we went to Egypt, we had knowledge of things that the tour guides were trying to tell you different. Everything was within 6,000 years because of the 6,000 years Adamites. So when you're saying we built the pyramid, they don't tell you who the we is. And then when they dismiss the extraterrestrials, very obvious things like, okay, how did the pyramids line up with the belt of Orion? How did they have the knowledge to make it so precise? There's so many gaps, but it was all like entertainment, it's a joke, and it's all kind of like, so I'm saying that to say that when the land was all together, ancient Egypt was the center, and that's where everybody went to learn. Even Europeans that would always quote Greeks, and they say Greeks, when they talk about, intelligence or civilization, they always go to the Greeks. But when you do further research, all the Greeks went to Egypt to learn. I'm talking about all the, like, your Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Pythagoras, all the people that are recognized for being great, Alexander the Great, deceiver, all of them went to Egypt to learn. So Egypt is where all the knowledge was at. The great library of Alexandria, that's where it was. So Egypt was that center, and the people just migrated in different directions and went to America, became the Olmecs, and then other beings came and mixed with them, like, the Chinese with the Husheng dynasty. And then that mixture with the Olmecs produced what people are called Native Americans. And now that's even got more watered down to becoming American Indians. And then the Europeans came from, obviously, Europe, settlers, and they started to, with the Christopher Columbus and all of that. So that's why some people look at and talk about America as being Egypt, because it's really the same people, yeah? And today, you're given the label American or African American, or, it's like, that still should tell you that the roots and the DNA comes from Africa. And America, you can go into the history of that, from the Emirs and the Incas that came together. That's where you get the word American. But it was called different names. Like, you had South America, and you had, North America, which was known as a Mexican, and Atlan or Atlas, which became the word Atlantis, because it was originally Utla, and Utla meant to vacate. So there people would literally walk over. And this is where, you had the rubber tree, and this is how they made what they call football today. So yeah, they're the same people. And this is why generations that then were bred in America, they say we're not African, because they only go in, my great-great-grandma was in America, my grandma was in America, I was born in America, I'm not from Africa. But that's true in terms of the location. But you're not a location. You are your DNA. So the DNA ties back into Africa, and you can look at, with the continental drift, the two sides will have the same trees along the different coasts, the same minerals, the same, fossils and things like that, that you can prove that it was once together. So I hope that's answered that question. I love this channel, Real Raw Truth, 100% evolve and elevate. I like that name. Yep, it's good to find people who think like me. Be honored to me, you. Yeah, we love OSM Vision. We love you guys because you make it. Okay, let's keep going. He realized that not all whites are devils and not all blacks are gods. Yeah, that's right. That's the thing as well. We don't teach that racism stuff, yeah? We don't. That's why if you go on our official website, UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com, you always see us having the phrase, no one wins the race in racism. This is what the master teacher has taught. And because there's so much mixing today, it's not about the color of your skin. And we teach that there's devil. The master teacher put out, Are There Black Devils? He put out many books, because this whole thing about the devil and God is all based on you and what actions. It's about your actions and your intentions and what you do, So we never teach that all whites are the devil stuff and not all blacks are gods either. And those two titles are, you have to break down the words. What is a devil? What does the word devil actually mean? It literally means a false accuser, you see. So anyone who's a false accuser is a devil, or anyone who acts and behave the way the devil does becomes a devil. Yeah, so we do teach that unification, but we're not, if people disrespect us or they come with the racism, we obviously deal with it because we don't teach that. All right. Hey, greetings, Rahul back. Who's calling? What's your name? Where you calling from? What's your question, please?
Rahul back. My name's Isaiah. I'm calling from Maryland.
Hey, Rahul back.
You just were speaking on about Africa and America, how I just have a question. So if you look at the pyramids they have Horus is a falcon, and Anubis is a dog that's located in the Americas. So my question is if that was the original, if it came from Africa, why would they come to this landmass or this part of, I guess at that time would have been Africa? Why would they have animals from this landmass on the pyramids in Africa? If it kind of confuses me. So that's kind of my question.
Oh yeah, because that's what I'm saying. That the same cultures moved around. So even like there are pyramids in South America and in America, and there are more pyramids even like in different parts than the Giza pyramids that everybody's kind of like focusing on. And because they're the same people, they share the same culture. So you will find the same stories being regurgitated in the different cultures. I don't know. Does that answer your question, or what are you confused about?
Because there's just the migration of, okay, so the pyramids in America are more developed than the ones in Africa, and then also the animals. It confuses me that wow, it's like the animals is native to this land over here. They're the ones that's depicted on all the in all the pyramids. They're the hawk and the Zolo, so the Cholis, the Anubis. That dog is native to the Americas. It's not to Africa. So my question is, even after the split, these animals are not even relevant to Africa. They're relevant to America. So I was assuming that I think the story was kind of told in reverse. This might have been because this is also Atlantis. So was it that started in America, or started on this landmass and migrated to the middle part of Africa?
Yeah, because in the sense that when the beings came from the waters and came onto land, it was in what you're calling the Antarctica today, and then, but again, that's what I'm saying, that because the landmass was actually one at the time, and the Anubu or Anubis, even though he's depicted as people think is a dog, is actually, as you say, it's a jackal. Um, it's more. It wasn't that he had a jackal head or that it was an animal. It was more about the nature of the being. See, so the it's like if you look at today America, where you have like the eagle, right? But it wasn't really originally an eagle. It was a phoenix, and it's more in terms of the reason they turned the phoenix into the eagle, whereas the phoenix was dealing with rejuvenation and coming back alive from the ashes. The eagle is chosen because it's supposed to be the prey, and from high altitude it has an aerial view, and that's what I'm saying, that if you look at the nature of what America, as in the colonizers, did, their nature is more of a destructive one. So it's not so much as the animals relating to the actually physical animal where it's from. It's more about the nature of the person, because Anubis was over the funeral rites in terms of being guided. When you look at like the story of how when you go through the underworld, this also got obviously into the Sumerian doctrine, where he's there to guide you through the transition from this world to the next world or the afterlife, and he became known as the angel of death, because of the fact that when you're crossing over, you needed to know and have certain information when you're being questioned, and so that you can actually make it. So the stories, when they walked into different directions from that original center, which, like you say, it was one landmass, so it became known as America as well as you say, Africa. But when they went in different directions, and then with the, as you said, the continental drift, those that were on one side, they still shared the same culture and stories that were originally from the same people. And even like some people think that the Sumerian predate the Egyptians when it's not actually true, because they've found more artifacts in Sumeria that are Egyptian, that predate Sumeria. So yeah, I can see why, people may get confused because they're thinking they're two separate, but the same people migrated into different directions with the same culture and the same stories. Does that help?
Yeah, I get it.
All right. Tawa. Okay.
Like,
Let me carry on with the chat. Please, what is the difference between a Sabian and a Nuwapian? Forgive my spelling. Thank you. That's from Dorinda. All right. The easy and simple answer is that there isn't a difference. The thing is, these names are titles, right? And we as a people have been called all sorts of names and titles, which are normally description of an action or a location. And so then when somebody picks up a name like Sabian and then tries to research that name, you may then come across, you know, like beings that are calling themselves Sabians today, but they're not the original, they're not the original Sabians, because people will say that goes to the, people will say that goes to the people from Yemen and those Ottoman and, that type of Sabian. But when we say Sabian, we're going just like the whole thing about Egypt. People will say Egypt, Egyptians, and then they will think about a particular group of people in recent times and deal with maybe the dynasties, but they don't go pre-dynastic to when we were referring to ourselves as Egyptians. So with Sabian is the same thing. We go pre that to the stars and deal with Saba, as in the stars, or in our language we will say Sabatat or Saba, right? Which ties into the whole Orion and what we call Sirius star constellations. We say Sabatat or Wu-Sabat, yeah? Sabah. So that's where we would go to. But then in later times, those people, as I said, in Yemen and all of that, they then tie in. It's just like today, when you say Egyptians, when we say we're Egyptians, that's why we have to say the original Egyptian, right? Because if you go to Egypt today, you're looking at the Arabs, where the word Arabs come from, which was the mixture between Hagar, right? Hagar being an Egyptian, which was one of Abraham's wives, and they had a child called Ishmael. And it's through that Ishmael that the mixture comes in, and you get the Arabs, because that Arab comes from the Arabia, or the wanderer, those who were moving around. But today, when you say Egyptians, it's almost like if they actually find it offensive or try to claim Egypt as being theirs. They say that they built the pyramids, etc., etc. But when you start to go into the details of the melanin and, first of all, you couldn't even really take the heat to be carrying and building those pyramids with those rocks and stuff. But I'm just saying that to say that Nuwapian, again, that has many renditions, which became to the average person in the West as Nubian. But it was, Nuwapian, from there you got the word newborns, right? These are the same newborns, spelled Nubuns or Nuwbuns. And these are those newborns that walked over to America, which we're calling, South America, North America, and became those Olmecs with the big lips, big nose. You can see the features, right? And so they're the same Sabians of the old, going back to those beings that came from the stars, tying back to the Orion and the Sirius star constellation, where our ancestors came from. That DNA came from there to see the planet. Then later on, you have different people that adopt the name. It's the same as the Nuwapian and the Sabian are the same people. Sabians or Sabians, Saba, yeah? to tying back to Sabatat, as I said. So yeah, the same people. It's just like, okay, today it's like we keep getting divided, and the master, Dr. Malachi Z, put out an actual fact called who you are and not what you accept. It's like today you look at the same people that are from Africa, or we say Africa, but Ghana, while there are many names for Africa, you know, people say don't use Africa because it comes from Africanus, which ties into the Greeks and so on and so forth. But it also ties into the Arab with the word Afrikia from the word Faraka, which goes into how the Europeans and the Arab divided up Africa and carved it up. You look at the Berlin Conference because it was based on the minerals and resources, and they divided it up for themselves, etc. Right? But what we're saying is that today you can look at somebody and they will say, I'm Jamaican, or I'm Haitian, or I'm, you know, from Ghana, I'm from Nigeria, but it's the same people, but they've adopted different names and looking at each other as if they're different when they're actually one people. You see, so it's not really about just the names and the titles, it's about who you are. That's why the best way now that the scientific world tries to classify races is by, you know, the root races, where they will loosely say African would be the Homo naledi or the Homo habilis, right? That's all the African stock, no matter where you are or what type of label or title you've taken on board. Then you have the Denisovan or the Homo florensis, which is dealing with all Asians, no matter whether you're Korean, Chinese, Japanese, all of that is put under the umbrella. Then finally you'll have the Caucasian, who again is referred to as the Cro-Magnon or the Neanderthal. And it doesn't matter whether you're dealing with the Six Kings or the Vikings or the Irish, the Polish, the German, etc. They're all under that classification as a root race. Then you have the mixture between the different those three root races to give you what we call hybrids or neutral gender, which is you can't tell, you know, there's so many mixtures between the different root races that you can't really tell is that person, you know, like you can see someone and they'll have, people go as far as trying to use percentages, you know, some people say, I'm mixed between African and Japanese, I'm a bit Native American, and I'm a bit this, and I'm like, then you look at them, sometimes you can't tell, okay, which is the predominant feature or genetics that are coming through, you see. So on the planet Earth today, so much mixture has gone on. But yeah, if you identify with that culture of Wu-Sabat and you want to live and practice Wu-Sabat, then the title you will take on that makes sense, because you can't call yourself, like we already said, Africa. It will take too long to try and, like, you know, like if you say to everybody we're Nubians or we're Nuwapians, you have to then break that down. Most people will identify with being African, will identify with the place Africa, which the tones are important because we say Afaf Reye Ka'a. Right, JX, thank you. I'm happy to see that somebody's supporting us. Thank you for your donation. Yeah, so I hope that's made that clear. So Nuwapian and Sabians is based on your actions and your intentions and living Wu-Sabat. All right, that's for you, Dorinda. Yes, let's say a big thank you to JX. If the Anunnaki seeded life on the planet through the dolphins, then why do you say not all Pataites and their descendants are related to the Anunnaki? Is it not their own DNA which was seeded? No. Again, when people ask questions with if da-da-da-da, you're already saying what you think it is or saying that's what it is. Yeah, of course, I'm not having a go at you. I'm just speaking in general. I'm just saying that we keep explaining that the Anunnaki are different species of beings. It doesn't only relate to a particular species, yeah? The Natharu were the ones that seeded the dolphins, yeah? Pa Natharu. And they're the ones that, then why do you say not all Pataites and their descendants are related to the Anunnaki? That's because if you study the story of the Anunnaki and the two brothers, Enki and Enlil, Enki actually mixed with the Pataites. He took wives from Africa, right? And that's how they mixed in. And it was customary and still is till this day for different races to make peace and come together by taking wives from the different, the different sides to kind of bring about peace. So some people are related to the Anunnaki. Some people are pure Natharu or related to the Natharu. And then you have those that are mixed between the two. Yeah, so that's why some people get confused. In fact, we did a video called, I did a class called, Are You part Natharu, Anunnaki, or confused, as in confused with the mixture? That will help you to answer that, because we read and went through the whole master secret called part Anunnaki and the biblical, I can't remember the full title, but
Biblical Quranic race?
that's the one. Biblical and Quranic race. So that will help you. Right, we've got another caller. Rahul Bat, what's your name? Where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
How you doing, Glenn? It's Essence again.
Hey.
From Georgia. I wanted to ask you if you could, a little bit ago, you said something about the extraterrestrial beings that are like taking people that they find worthy or something. I couldn't really hear what you said, but if you could please go over that, and also elaborate on who is Elohim, and does he belong to the Anunnaki?
Okay, got you. All right. Yeah, so see, Elohim is just a title and a term that is used to describe these same beings that people are calling Anunnaki. It's just that that's coming from the Hebrew in terms of when you're reading the Bible and you have different names that are being used throughout. So you'll have El, right, which would be the being that's over the Elohim, right? So one person is referred to singularly as Elo, E-L-O-H, and Elohim is the plural, where it's more than one being, and the person that's over that group of people will be referred to as El, right? Who is like if you had in a workplace, you might have a team, and then you have a manager that's over that team. So the Elohim is just another term referring to these beings that came from, from the skies down here as Anunnaki. Some will refer to them as the Netiru. Some cultures refer to them as the Anutu, the Ilus. There are many names: seraphim and cherubim, angels. These are all terms describing these beings that came here. So in relation to the 144,000, this is talking about, okay, so most of the time in the history of the planet, there gets to a point where life has to be restarted over again, either on the same planet where, it talks about beings were drowned and, through floods or wiped out, and then new beings started all over again, right? When the planet has got to a point, or certain situations have got to a point where the Natharu or the elders decide that, or even just through like the sun collapsing, when that sun that provides the life, the source of power and life on the planet, when that goes, because suns are fuel, right? And they burn out. They go through a process of being birthed, they live, and they also die, for lack of a better word. And when that happens, planets that are supported by that sun, they need to evacuate or find somewhere else to go and live if they know about the fuel, the hydrogen and the helium is going to run out, it's going to explode or something. So they prepare. This is what happened with the, Sirius C and the beings that had to evacuate to come here and to different parts of the different galaxies. So when it gets to that point, to see the new planet, you only need a certain amount of people to take away and seed that new planet. So this number of 144,000 is a number that has been spoken of, where you would, the people that, it's like there's a series on Netflix, or even with what Mr. Elon Musk is trying to do to go and start life on Mars, right? They will select what they've been doing this for a long time, called a brain team. So they will look at, if we're going to start all over from scratch in a new planet, what would we need? We're going to need scientists, we're going to need engineers, we're going to need certain people with certain skills. And they will look at the amount of people required that have the skills. There's a series on Netflix called Salvation. If you haven't watched that, watch that. And this is the process they go through by checking you out. If you're on the list, they monitor you and make sure you don't have any diseases, you don't have certain problems that you can bring along with you to mess up that project. So it's a similar thing where this planet has been up for judgment, and it could have been destroyed many times, but because of Parnabab Yanun coming here and pleading and saying, like, hold back the winds, right? If you go back to the book of Revelations and the teachings that he taught us many years ago, he's the one that's been pleading to say, there are people here worth saving. And I will take it personally as a responsibility to teach them to be upright, to be intelligent, to be worthy, to receive back their higher powers by receiving back their, what we call the barothry gland that was removed. All right, so he's teaching us all these 1,000 books, practices, rebuilding, teaching us how to live together, love and unity, care, and all that kind of stuff. And some people, with all that information, they still choose to live in sixth ether or in the image of the beast, or behaving and acting like a barbarian. And so if you're going to, like, I always use analogies that people can relate to. If you're going to build a business, a football team, or whatever, you want the best people in the positions. So you want the best striker, the best goalkeeper, the best defenders, and so on. So it's not about just because you look good or because you belong to a religion that you're going to be picked. It's going to be based on your qualification in terms of many things, like your heart seat, which we say ashuk, divine love, or unconditional love for each other as well as sentient beings. Are you somebody that has made the grade in that sense? Like, are you using your mind? Are you elevating? You know, because this is a serious thing. So those beings, as is taught, will be taken away and they will be given their barothry gland. The update that we gave quite recently he explains that those beings will be taken to a specific laboratory, and it was in the Antarctic, and it will be they will get the operation done and they will receive their gland, and in preparation to be taken away and may come back to save the planet. It all depends. I mean, things change all the time in terms of they have to make decisions based on the circumstances on the planet. So yes, that 144,000 is those beings that, you know, they would have, I can't think of a better word than made the grade. And that's transforming you from mortal to God, as he put it, you know, because mortals will die, only gods will survive, because you have to transform back. When I say God, I'm using that term loosely, even though it tells you in the religious books that you are God. And to be godlike is to be and live and do the things that these higher intelligent beings, like the Parnathara, are doing. This is what you are being taught by way of the scrolls and by way of Wu-Sabat. So I hope that's answered that question. Okay, let's keep going. So yeah, I hope I answered that question for Jay as well. Thanks for the donation again. Duan Mutef Atumre, those who know don't talk, and those who talk don't know a thing. God love us, hood niggas. Free Dr. Malachi Z. York. Yes, that's it. Free Dr. York. That's all we really have to put our energy and efforts and everything into, and that will definitely change everything. The dolphins are actually known as the Nomo. Actually, it's funny, we actually did a video today that's going to explain the Nomo. So the Nomos, which is really talking about, it's not talking about the dolphins, it's talking about a being called Nomo, right? Nomo is singular, Nomos is plural. And these are the race that came and they were in the waters. And, it ties into the Dagon, which ties into that mitai, if I'm pronouncing that, the hat that the Pope wears, which is shaped like a fish, because it goes back to the Dogons in Mali and them knowing about Nomo arriving and in the water, and those being the Nomos coming out from the water and teaching them and going back into the waters. All right. At which age should you begin watching and learning Wu-Sabat? As soon as you arrive, because the tones, vibrations, and frequencies are still received by even babies. So you should be chanting and teaching them Wu-Sabat from birth. And obviously, as they getting, older, you can then introduce them and teach them what you have learned. It's important for the parents to be in Wu-Sabat so that they can pass that on to their offspring as soon as they arrive, because if not, they get caught up in other things that are going to take them on the wrong path. Let him enjoy the rest of his life with his sons and daughters. I'm not sure who they're talking about. I think they're talking about Pops, Partner Babyanon, maybe. Yeah, definitely. He needs to enjoy his life and rest. He's done everything already. We are the new supreme beings that are supposed to be taking all that he's given and taught us and taking it further and basically building and doing all the things that we're supposed to be doing. So I agree with that. Truth is truth. Sawab, kawun sawab. True. Okay, any more questions? Duamutef Atunre, which will free the planet from much pain, stress, hate, fear, and fog in the atmosphere? Okay, I think that's a conversation going on. Yeah, that's actually interesting, Joel Barnes. Yeah, the truth. I don't know if you all saw the whole Super Bowl with Kendrick Lamar and all that. Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, in terms of the truth, it's more disturbing than the lie. Right now, yeah, you're living in that day and time. The reason I mention that is because the way they test to see if the masses are still under the spell and being controlled previously was that when these symbols or rituals and certain things were done publicly, when most people were asleep, they didn't see it, they didn't pick it up. It was like they would be doing it in plain sight. But now, anything they do, everyone picks it up. So they obviously now concerned that they're awake, they can see, people are just breaking down and deciphering all the rituals as soon as anybody does anything. It's on camera, it's on TikTok, it's on all the social media. So for them, they can't really pull the wool over your eyes yet unless you're really still asleep. And with the help of Wu-Sabat, we're waking up everyone, and so you can actually start to use your real eyes and realize the game that's being played, the subliminal messages. So yeah, the age of Aquarius is the time for truth and no more lies, because now everything is being exposed. Okay, let's keep going. My question, Virgin Island. My question, where does the so-called brown people get their height from, meaning 6 feet on? Yeah, that's because of the mixture, as I was explaining before, that originally on the planet, the first beings, these Pataites, were small people, and they actually eventually started to be insultingly called the pygmies. But that pygmy is referring to those small people who were the Pataites. The female were 4 feet 5 inches, and the males were the opposite, 5 feet 4 inches. And up until the point where these beings called, they refer to them in the Bible as the Nephilims, or those who fell from the word Naphala, right? These beings that were cast down here, and then they came and they tell you in Genesis 6:4 that they basically went in onto these daughters of men. Putting it lightly, is basically they raped them and produced offspring. Because they were very tall, this is how you started to get the tall people and the mixture in height. And then other extraterrestrials that are different heights as well came here and started to, produce offspring or carry out many experiments utilizing those original beings' DNA. And many extraterrestrials used to come to this planet to literally create beings to show off their creation. And in many of those experiments, you had a lot of deformities or where the experiments went wrong. So this is how you have, funnily today, all the questions we're getting, we literally look out for the video. We've just done a video that's covering the different types of extraterrestrials, like how the offspring on the planet have got their DNA on their genetics from some of these extraterrestrial beings. So, like the hirsutism, which is where you have hair all over your body, that ties into the shaggy beings and ties into the Duanis. Then you have those beings that are, overweight. I'm talking about massively overweight, known as the Deros. And you have people on the planet that relate to them, which is nothing to do with diet or how much food they're eating. Is the genetics, their genes are related. I'm not going to give you all the, but look out for that video. But yeah, so that's why you've got the different heights on the planet, Virgin Island, and the sun interacts with DNA, absolutely. Robots don't get skin cancer, but they malfunction and they get viruses. All right. I'm trying to see if that's a question. Yeah, that's a discussion going on.
Someone said, can white people be Wu-Sabat?
Yes, Wu-Sabat is universal, is for everyone who will accept it and live it. Of course, there are limitations in terms of, certain aspects, like you are who you are. So, but Wu-Sabat is for everyone. And we keep telling you there's no white people and there's no black people. They're just people with different DNA and genetic makeup. So if you don't have as much melanin as someone else, then obviously you're going to be affected differently by the elements like the sun and so forth. So it all depends on your genetic makeup. But Wu-Sabat is for everyone. No one wins the race in racism, and as long as you accept and live by Wu-Sabat, it's for you. He says, I thought it was the same one. Okay, let me check that out. Oh, that's JX again. Thanks for showing us so much love today. If you are a Nubian and mix with a Caucasian, will your seed fall to the 4 ether level and have no soul? Please elaborate on the consequences of using Nubians mixing with lower etheric beings. All right. See, again, in fact, the word Nubian is actually describing those beings that were mixed with the Arabs, right? Even though it got adopted, in the West because, Nubian was a hip way of saying or replacement of Africa, but it's really from the word newborn. So in terms of when you're saying the Nubian, that's actually talking about the mix. A Nubian's already mixed. This is why when you go to Egypt, you have the Nubians who are more caramel looking, and then you have, if you go to Aswan, you go into you see the darker shades, and of course you can go to Luxor, and then you go to Cairo, you're going to see more of the kind of desert Arabs looking. So depending on where you go in Egypt today, the original, the dark ones will be, into Aswan, and they've been pushed away more deep down into the, the villages and so on. But to answer the question though, I know what you mean. If you say a Negroid or a Nagaru mixing with a Caucasian, it depends which one is male and which one is female. If the Nubian is the man or the male, then either way he's gonna lose one of his seats or his energy seats, because if the woman is a Caucasian, she's gonna draw that energy from him. But in terms of the ether, you're not dropping to full ether, because you're dealing with a combination of a mix of a 9 ether being and a 6 ether being, you see. So the offspring is going to have both sides. So the offspring is either going to lean towards 9 ether or they're going to lean towards 6 ether, based on their nature that they lean more towards, in terms of which side is more predominantly the influence in their life. DNA wise, the dominant gene is going to be the 9 ether. So really, that offspring is still 9 ether, because the dominant genes are going to be 9 ether. But if they lean more towards this, because you can have offspring that have both 9 ether and 6 ether, and they lean more to 6 ether, meaning that they don't associate with Negroid, they don't do Negroid things, they might just be brought up with being around Caucasians or being around, just like you'll see it. You can meet people that have that mixture, and you'll see the ones that act and behave more to the 9 ether or the Negroid side, and you can meet other offspring that it's like they more associate and lean towards the 6 ether side. So it's all about the offspring. And the soul, there are Caucasians, again, it depends on the person. There are Caucasians that have souls and those that don't, because of the mixture. That's why we're saying it's not as simple today just to look at a person's complexion, because it's about going into like their DNA. But it's best, obviously, to keep within, to avoid the mixing, because then the children also can become bipolar, where they got two different extremes that they're fighting to either lean to this side or lean to that side, or there's a polarity where they're kind of confused between which side should they go. Should they eat hot sauce or not? Do they like, what type of music? Do they like rock music, or do they like more, soul R&B music? And it can be an issue. So it's actually really best in terms of DNA and in terms of kind of like for the best outcome is really, we don't really encourage that mixture for the what would you call it, the legacy, the progeny of maintaining the race as pure as possible. And even certain Caucasians in high places, they don't like to mix. They like to keep the bloodline within the bloodlines. All right. So, but we don't, if someone's with somebody, or they love somebody, or they're with that person, that's their business, and really that's their life. They have to deal with whatever consequences come with their choices. And that's why we say we stay out of people's bedrooms. So when you say, please elaborate on the consequences of using Nubians mixing with lower etheric beings, you lose or you drop down, and they gain if you are 9 and they're 6, because they're drawing from you, and it's vice versa as well. So if you, as Nagaru woman take on a Caucasian male, then you're going to lose because they're going to draw from you, you see. Yeah, so that's what we're dealing with when you're dealing with the etheric beings. All right, but it's best to keep as potent and as pure as possible. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, we got another donation. George Beaton. Okay, there's no question, but we want to show you some love for that. Thank you. And again, are the Riskians coming back for their children? Are they taking more than 144,000? Can LBGT be Wu-Sabat? You say that LGBT is not a person. So with people, it doesn't matter who you are, you can, and it's not be a Wu-Sabat. People say that, can I be a Wu-Sabat? Wu-Sabat is the culture, and if you live the culture and you're one of a person practicing Wu-Sabat, then we're referred to as Musbatu or Sabians or Nuwapian. So it's not, we don't really discriminate and go by letters and names like you've just said there, right? So the Riskians, it's only going to be 144,000 because it's based on the seat. It's like if you have a bus and it has a certain amount of seats, right? And the capacity is, let's say, 144. You can't take any more because you won't have any more seats. And so it's exactly that number. But the number also ties in symbolically to other things like 9 ether and the characteristics of the person being 9, as in adding the 1 plus 4 and the other 4, you get 9. What will be the first journey on Wu-Sabat? The first journey is to, like, when you get involved with anything, you need to study, research, check it out, and make sure that you're making the choice for yourself and you're not following what you may think is a fad or fashion or a club, because Wu-Sabat is real, and you can't fake the funk. You have to live it. What is Wu-Sabat's view on skin bleaching, colorism? Obviously, that's some programming from what we call trying to live in the image of the beast, trying not to be yourself. We don't promote, and because why would you bleach your skin? Why would you try to change yourself from who you really are? We say be who you are, and that's why I mentioned that actual fact called who you are, not what you accept. And we don't live in the image of the beast. And that image of the beast is not just about just the image, it's about how you live and the things that you do as well. So, yeah, we don't really, we come in all shades of, what you would call color. But, and it's really the media and racism and people that are trying to promote, divisions and racism that kind of deal with this whole thing where, they like lighter colored and lighter people, or trying to promote and push them over the darker skinned people. And this is all over in the industries, in, all walks of life, because they try to teach you this whole thing about if you're black, stay back, and if you're white, you're all right. And we don't play those games, because we deal with people as people based on their actions and how they live and treat you and respect you and so on. Rahul, when can the breath book be put back in stock? We got so many books that are in demand, and we're working on it. There's so much that goes on in the background in terms of help that is required to do many things, because we're trying to supply a planet full of 8 billion people. So the question is, we're working on it. I can't give you a date on time when it will be done. When it is, make sure you're in the Telegram group, the OSM Ask Us Anything Telegram group, OSM Vision. and stay in tune and subscribe, and then you will be alerted when anything is available. Are there any foods that we can use to get more melanin? Yes, there are. We sell a lot of herbs and things in the store. I can't think of one at the top of my head right now, but you know, you should be, it's not just the food as well, it's like your way of life, when you sleep, under what conditions do you sleep, etc. What is Wu-Sabat's view on Elon Musk and Twitter? I mean, that's very broad. We're staying in Wu-Sabat lane and focusing on Wu-Sabat. They're trying to do whatever they're doing and trying to save and make America great again. The question, when was America great? No, I'm joking. But the reality is, like, it's actually funny because we did a video breaking down, it's not called Twitter anymore, it's called X. And X marks the spot. X is actually a 6 when you break down the real meaning with it and all that, what that means in terms of the morals and the way people are living in terms of XXX pornography and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to focus on Wu-Sabat. We don't really want to get too involved with the politics, but you know, he obviously has got, there's controversial information going around about him taking money or getting money from the government to fund his projects. You know, the government have been giving him money for years in terms of funding projects for SpaceX, another X, SpaceX. His original company was XCOM. When he took over Tesla, what did he do? X car. So there are lots of X's when it comes to Mr. Musk. All right, JX again. You're showing us so much love today with your donations. We appreciate love you for that. It helps us to keep putting out content. So thank you. Would you recommend using gene therapy like CRISPR? That's a really good, to remove the non-negroid genes from our body, especially for our future kids. No, we wouldn't recommend that because again, you're tampering and changing yourself. You can transform yourself with just your, you know, your mind is the most powerful thing you have. And this is where our ancestors, the Riskians, they've elevated to the point where they can manipulate their DNA, they can manipulate their genetics, and we can do that too. You just have to be taught and learn how to do it. If you can do something naturally, it's much better than to try and use any of these technologies and so forth. Hey, Rahubat, who's calling? Kaiser, how are you? Where are you calling from today? And what's your question?
Hi, Sakem Rahubat. How are you doing?
Doing my best, Lamar. How are you?
Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, Brooklyn, New York, where I'm born at, where I'm from.
Okay.
I'm well.
Good.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, man. So yeah, you basically were. Did you watch the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime show?
Yeah, I did. I actually watched it. I watched it live. Don't ask me why I was up at that time, being in the UK, but yeah. I actually did watch it live before. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Mm-hmm. How did you like the show? How did you like the performance?
Yeah, you know, every time there's a Super Bowl, there's always something that, you know, people look forward to, what they're going to do this time with the half time and stuff. So I was let me watch it and see what they're going to come with this time. And the performance was good. I'm not really into the whole rap thing, but I've been listening to his stuff. He's got some good beats, and I think it was good. But obviously dissecting it was even more more important. Yeah. So
I watched your live on some channel. It was like an African channel. I was in the comments. I was saying you're saying exactly what I was saying.
Right.
Like about how it's a PlayStation controller on the stage. Yeah. Can you break it down a little bit for everybody that's listening, including me? I would like you to, maybe do a short clip or something, like really break it down.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of like Samuel Jackson. His name is Sam, and he's Uncle Sam.
That's right.
You know.
Yes.
So much interest in. Yeah, and I prefer Kendrick Lamar. His style of music is hip hop. It's not really. He's not coming from a rich standpoint. He's coming from a black poverty standpoint. So he's someone that really resonates with the black community.
Right.
So I'd say other rappers, you know, people would say Drake, if he has an accident, he could just get Medicare, go to the hospital. So he's not as gangster. You understand?
Yeah, I mean, I will touch on it, but there's so much to it that could take a long time. But the main essence of it is that, you know, we all live in a system, in a society with a sixth ether where there's a lot of programming going on and games that are being played. And so that whole set in terms of, I mentioned it briefly before, that before people didn't see through the games, and that's the power that the elites, so-called elites, would use because of people's ignorance. So they would do things in front of your face and people would just say, oh, it's entertainment. They wouldn't really read into it, and they would know that the masses are still dumbed down and they could still continue to get away with what they do. It's like a lot of people have become so desensitized with things that many years ago you wouldn't pass somebody being, you know, like beaten or whatever, and you would just think, oh, okay, just get our mobile phones out and film it just so that we can share it on social media.
Yeah.
So a lot of human behavior has changed to the point where even like with going back to like the Rodney King incident or certain things, it was like they use these things to test to see if they still have control. And so the whole thing being set up as a game was to see whether or not they can still play their games. Now, when you look at a game, you can play a game in two ways. So you can be played or you're being played, or you can be playing somebody else. So there was a lot of symbology, as you said, with, you know, it's not even a coincidence that Samuel Jackson will be playing, you know, that
Uncle Sam.
Uncle
Uncle Sam.
Because the name Sam actually ties into, as we said, Samun, or, you know, which the word means poison those of El, right? So really, he's Uncle Sam deals with that whole, like, in Arabic, in Islam, we say Narin Samun, which is dealing with, dealing with the what they will call the jinns or the devil or the negative beings. So, go ahead.
What about the song "They Not Like Us"?
Right. Again, everything he was saying, like us. Everything he was saying has a double meaning, because you have to say who's the they that they're talking about when he's saying they're not like us. And you could look at it from the whole beef. Again, I don't like that word, but between him and Drake, and be like, you know, two different camps saying that camp is not like us. Or you can look at it in the wider sense, like, is it, you know, black and white? Is it dealing with, you know, and the whole colours, you know, the red, blue, and the white, dealing with the American flag, Uncle Sam, and the system.
Yeah.
Then he had the women
I see that the black man, like that. I see like they build America and they back. So they show it's mostly Nagaru, like black people, like they call in America, they call us. And then they're, if you notice, they painted red, white, and blue, and they're all African. And their backs is down. They make the American flag. So it's showing like how we built America. And like I feel like They Not Like Us. It's about other people taking your culture and profiting from it, and they don't give you respect. They like African culture, but they don't want to give Africans, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there was a recent
reparations.
Update. He talked about the reparations with the whole 40 acres and a mule thing as well, and he talked about the revolution will be televised, and you know, because people are used to saying,
it's hard. Kendrick's hard, bro. Yeah, that's like he's giving you little messages like code knocks. Like we used to be code knockers, and tribal. So like we can understand when you go, you know, someone say, "Yeah, bro," and they give you a code, like a knock.
Right.
And it's like that's like that's I think he's from what city is Kendrick born? He's in Compton, USA, right?
Right.
So yeah, he got a style like that. So
But again,
Drake
at the
can't
same
really
time,
copy that.
yeah, at the same time, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like you're in that industry, you're gonna be kind of tainted by it and affected by it. So you're not always gonna be able to put out those messages or say the things you want to say if you're not allowed to do that again as well. So it's very smart in the way that you can give out messages without making it obvious only to those. It's just like when Jesus would speak in parable, or the character that they call, or anybody, like there are double messages within what's being shown. So you have to be able to decipher, what it's really being saying. It's like Michael Jackson thing, all I want to say is that they don't really care about us, but the us could be who, really, So there's a lot of symbology in there, but there's so many people that have actually dissect and broken down, that whole performance that you can find now on TikTok. And there's a sister that has actually really gone in on one of the ones I've seen. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time because a lot of people still try to call in. But I mean, it was a good performance.
It's the most viewed Super Bowl, Sakam. It's 300. How many million people watched it? So it's all around the world. They're dancing to it. Mm-hmm. South Korea. I love to show the love.
Yeah.
Everyone's loving it, and it's about everyone getting together for a good time, but get some more meaning to it. But there's some people that didn't get it, like Hulk Hogan was on the TV saying, "I don't get it." Well, they put them on the news, but there was some nice white people. They just are dancing to it. They say that it flew over my head, but I like this thing. I like when they say that instead of saying, "Oh, it's where's the, they basically say, "Oh, the Trump people, they're saying it's only they don't get it because they don't show no rock music or something like that."
Yeah, I mean, this is the whole thing about keeping people divided, isn't it? But I
on
mean,
the news, that's what they want to put on the news. Like, no, it was a message, and it's like everybody loved that message.
I mean, anyone would love the opportunity, because having that audience, to be able to reach, is marketing. But yeah, we'll have to see whether or not. I personally think it was positive, because people can see through the rituals and all the messages now.
Great. Yeah. And then notice Trump was in the audience. He saluted Drake too. Don't forget that. I saw that.
Yeah.
Trump was like, he saluted it.
Yeah.
So it's like he was watching the show. I think he enjoyed the show. Everyone pretty much enjoying it. They're just watching what they got scared because they say, don't say it. And then he sang the song. Without, he doesn't care what everyone says. So that's what I respect about Kendrick, and he's one of my favorite rappers. To be honest, he's one of my favorite guys. All his music is good. So I would give it a shout out, and that's about it. But
I mean, a lot of the younger generation people relate to him. So if he can reach them.
Kaiser, before you go, someone said, "What's your view on Serena doing the Crip Walk dance at Kendrick's halftime show, considering the Crips killed her older sister?" So the Crips killed her older sister.
Serena, what? Serena what Williams? She's tennis, right? What did you say? What do you say?
He was asking that, what do you think, considering that the Cribs killed her older sister, apparently? Like her doing that.
Doing the Crip Walk dance.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's a backstage rehearsal. I know that apparently Serena Williams is Drake's ex, so
she was taking shots at each other as well.
Her ex, Drake. Like I said, Drake, I ain't got nothing against him. I liked him when he first came out, but it basically started. The beef was like Kendrick was making a song. And I grew up in the 90s, so I'm like now around that age, I remember. But it was basically Kendrick was saying, "I'm gonna be the GOAT, the greatest of all time. So I'm coming after all your favorite rappers. I'm gonna kill them."
Yeah, but they say that, but we also know the GOAT is
Kendrick said that.
The GOAT of Mendez, and then you saw Alicia Keys throwing up the Baphomet sign as well. So that's what I'm saying. There are so many different things going on at the same time. But yeah, I'm gonna have to leave it there because we've got so many questions
on a rap.
to get
yeah,
through.
On a rap way, he said it like he's gonna be the best rapper. He doesn't care about your favorite rapper. If you gotta prove who's the best, Kendrick came like that, and then all of a sudden Drake started to get a little bit like, oh, this guy thinks he's better than me. Long time ago. So you get what I'm saying? It was just one song and it became big.
Yeah.
But I love to look forward. We'll keep it on that. You know, I'm not into the relationship stuff. I like to just enjoy my
because ultimately it still comes down to
your vibration high.
It comes down to the divisions and people trying to support one person or another, and this is like the Biggie and Tupac thing, which can end up going left, you know. So we're just trying to keep it positive because the competitions sometimes is done so they can both make money. So either way, they win, we lose. So let's focus on Wu-Sabat. And yeah, Dorinda, I see that you tried to call in, but we were on the call. So if you want to call back, thank you so much for your donation. So Ken, what happens to those who know Wu-Sabat but are not chosen as one of the 144,000? Will life continue for them? Yeah, yes. I mean, in terms of it, all depends because the ones that are chosen are supposed to come back and teach and help to save the planet. So it's not about being selfish and just like that's the goal. I want to be one of the 144,000 because you can still contribute and be great and do great things, even like what we're doing now, because you shouldn't be doing things to receive or be like, I'm trying to do it to become one of the 144,000. Just like the master teacher teaches that even if you're a golden child or one of the golden children, you shouldn't be claiming it. You know, be and live and do what you know that is right. So yes, in terms of even if you don't make it, live in Wu-Sabat, even if you're Caucasian or any person, you're going to live a better life. And those who have come into Wu-Sabat will tell you that their life has been so much better just living and practicing Wu-Sabat. So the benefits are for everyone, regardless of whether you make it to be one of the 144,000 or not. All right. There were so many questions. Let me see if I can catch back up. I saw one. Oh, here you go. Anton, you were saying that both your parents were under 6 foot and you came out to be 6'2". What happened? You remember that you are a combination of 4 generations back. It's not just based on your parents. It's also based on your grandparents and your great-grandparents and your great-great-grandparents. So all those people make up your matrix of who you come out to be. And you can have genes thrown back from one of those 4 generations. So this is why sometimes you'll have a child and both of you may be dark in terms of complexion, but the child comes out really light. And then people say, oh, your great-grandma or your grandma was light. Or there may be somebody that was tall in your family line, and even though both your parents are short, you can come out tall, where those genes have managed to pass their way to you. So it's not just based on your parents, it's based on those generations before your parents as well. All right. Practicing animism should be great for those on the path to enlightenment. Absolutely. Is it possible to get the books for free so that I can study and learn the knowledge? There's so much information we give out free. That's why we do the videos, the classes. But you have to remember that when it comes to the books, you're dealing with logistics of manufacturing. You know, the knowledge is free. This is why Panda Babylon has taught continuously for 50 years or plus, and it's been free. We give out this knowledge free. But when you come into putting books together as a product, you have to get paper, you have to get ink and printers and binding machine and people that are proofreading and their time. So logistically, there is a cost. And if you're talking about living and doing for self and generating your own wealth, then you need to be able to, at the very least, recuperate the expenses that you incur from putting the books together. People would not go and, you know, go into the supermarkets or other places and say, can I have, let me just take all this grocery or these products home for free, because, you know, you wouldn't be able to do that. And this knowledge is worth more than any of those products that you may go and spend money for, whether it's, we say trainers, you in America say sneakers, or, you know, you can't walk into a shop and get them for free because there's production, manufacturing, distribution, marketing, and everything that goes along with it. So I think you shouldn't really be asking us if you can get the books for free. We are looking and have done in the past in terms of having libraries and, you know, learning centers where you can go and perhaps, you know, like a library, rent, read, and, you know, so on. That's something that we're obviously looking into. You have to remember we are dispersed, and we, because of the injustice to the kidnapping of our master teacher, we're not functioning and performing at our best as we used to. And we're work in progress in coming back together. And this is a massive injustice that has been done. And it was by design to keep us, you know, separated, and so we cannot function to the best of our ability and potential, but we're doing our best. All right. All right, let's. How do I get off the national target hit list? Join Wu-Sabat, get in the inner circles, and you will find out. Okay. Okay, not sure if LeBron has ties. I don't know about that. That's the conversation. Yeah, people are just having a conversation. Okay, we've covered that already. Did Dr. York discuss, okay, before that, Flora, is the possibility of having Wu-Sabat centers all over the world? Yeah, absolutely. And when people say there isn't anything near me, or like in my no community near me, then that's an opportunity right there for you to be the seed that can be worked. You can work with the office and the center to maybe get something going there. So yes, we want to have centers worldwide. Did Dr. York discuss the potential risk of human integration with technology? Yes, he put out, even if you read the Man from Planet Risk book, Dr. York versus the computer, many books, he was warning us of this time and integration with technology or cyborgs. And our friend Elon Musk, again, you know, he's got the can't remember the name of it, Neuralink, which is linking chips with your neurons or your brain. And the master talked about this many years ago and the risks. And yeah, and they're telling you now AI is the biggest threat for the future, where they're saying they will take over. And AI is being brought here by extraterrestrials who don't particularly like humans because of how we treat the planet and how we treat each other, and, you know, the problems we cause on the planet. And they actually want to get rid of humanity with it, because they're going to make it that people that are lazy, they want to just rely on robots and AI to do everything. So many jobs will be taken. And but, you know, that's why we have to do what we have to do. So Ken, have you seen Phase 1, the rapper wu-nuwapu? Yeah, of course. That's one of our brothers. But I don't know what particular, if you're referring to something in particular. We have many people, Nuwapians or Sabians out there. And everyone is not on the same page in terms of being up to date or in, you know, like in order and following, you know, certain instructions and so on. So, but they're still our family. And even those who have left and stopped off of many kind of schools that we went through, the master has always welcomed everyone that wants to come back home, even those who betrayed him. So our arms are open to all so-called X, because once you get touched by the master or Wu-Sabat, you'll never be the same again. So, but yeah, we welcome everyone that would like to come back and do the work and get involved, you know. That's 9 o'clock already, nearly. Okay, so we've got about 35 minutes left. If you haven't got your question in yet, you can still get your question in. You can ring and ask your question. Where are we? I want to join a temple. The closest one to me is either in Detroit or Georgia. What happened to the United Sabian Worldwide website? I don't know. What's happened to it? Anything happened to it? I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Somebody posted the link, so check it out. Crowd favorite media from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Rahubat, welcome.
You see that new JX?
Oh, is that a new one? No. I saw something, but I thought it was the old one.
What can we do to maintain our etheric core connection? What can we do to recharge our soul?
What can we, all right, let me see if I can find it. To be honest, a lot of the what can we do questions fall into practicing Wu-Sabat. And by that, I mean, read the scrolls. They cover everything that we keep being asked about. Unfortunately, if there isn't a scroll that you can get hold of that's available, you may have to, you know, ask someone who's got it, or we can ask questions about it and we can break it down. But it's about putting into practice Wu-Sabat and living it, and it transforms you, and that will strengthen your etheric cord. So it covers everything from your thoughts, how you think, and the diet, the chanting, the meditation, the relaxation, you know, the way you treat people, the intentions that you have behind what you do. So all of these things will help strengthen. What's the other part, Zamal?
What can we do to recharge our soul?
Right, to recharge your soul is to do things that like reconnect you to nature, dancing to right and listening to and dancing to right tones, vibrations and frequencies, music will help you, chanting, pretty much the stuff I mentioned before, but it's about connection with other people that are of a higher vibration, that are actually, you know, giving you that energy to also bounce off of. Yeah, Wu-Sabat practices. The thing is as well, people read the books from the master teacher, because that's a one-to-one connection between you and him. And you will find out that the relationship that you build with him, connecting yourself by way of your etheric cord to him, because he's an Etherean. Yeah, so it's about making that connection with the master teacher and living Wu-Sabat amongst others as well. It's an energy exchange, because you can practice it in isolation by yourself, but it's not as potent when you do it with others. I'm trying to catch back up. Someone's saying the United Sabians Worldwide website doesn't work. It's been down for weeks. Is that right?
I checked the website as well. It's working, but someone else said it's not working for them on mobile.
It might be your browser or something. Let me quickly check as well here and see. Yeah, it might be just your device or your browser or your cache. Look, I've just gone to it. It's working. Literally, it's working. So it may be your side. Try a different browser, different computer or different device to see. Yeah, it's working. All right, so it might be your end. Let's keep going. Professor NTU, great teacher. Can you please explain the bird in the Zimbabwean flag and the meaning of the red star? I'll have to come back to you on that. There's a scroll the master teacher put out. It's right here, actually. That might go into that, but I'll have to look it up. I can explain the star, but this book called Let's Set the Record Straight, it goes into the different countries and the origins of those countries and their flags and stuff. So I'll have to look into that and revisit it. So join the Telegram group or come back next week once I've had a chance to look at that. The star, I don't know. Again, let's have a quick look actually. Let me see if I can find the flag. Did it say Zimbabwe? Yeah, Zimbabwe. Yeah, okay, I see it now. Right. Okay, so 5-pointed star, and I can see the bird. For those who want to see. Yeah, so the 5-pointed star we know because that ties into the colonizers being the Europeans or the Adamites with the sons of Canaan. So you had 5 and 6, add them together, you get 11. The 11 sons, right? So the 5-pointed star relates to any country that was colonized or that was under their rulership, and it ties into the Baphomet as well when you look at a 5-point star. The bird, I can't really make out what the bird is about. I can see it, but I'll have to do a bit more research onto that. But yeah, most of the flags, if you look at most of the flags, they will either have a 5-pointed star or a 6-pointed star. If you look at the Israeli flag, you see that interlocking 6-pointed star. With an interlocking 6-pointed star, you can't see the interlocking if it's just one color, if it's not done in a kind of a 3D image. But yeah, so the flags, the stars on the flags relate to countries that were colonized or ruled by Europeans by way of, before they received their independence and things like that. But many have retained and kept the same flags. Okay, let me see. I've just pulled up. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. If you can see this one, that is an interlocking 6-pointed star, which is different from a normal 6-pointed star. All right, so they put any country that was colonized, they would put this interlocking 6-pointed star, but they might draw it in a way that you don't see the interlocking, and it ties into, as I said, the 11 sons of Canaan, which goes into the Jebusites, the Arkites, the Canaanites, etc. But when you look at a normal 6-pointed star like that one right there, you can see that it's really made up of pyramids. And this is the one we had with the ankh to it, or the ankh in the middle, with the crescent. But you can see that there are pyramids surrounding that center, and it was used to trap the devil, because that's what the doctrine of Wu-Sabat. See, again, like this is a interlocking 6-pointed star, this one here, but you can't see it because of the way it's done. But that shows it to you clearly. I'm just saying that there's a difference between the 6-pointed stars and but the 5-pointed star that ties into the goat of Mendez and Baphomet, which is really the goat of Mendez, which is why even though people will use the greatest of all time, there's double meaning. So you don't know when they're saying the goat, whether they're saying the greatest of all time or really the goat of Mendez. This is the technology that they use with double meanings, and you may not, you may be fooled by it. Okay, let's keep going. We've still got about 26 minutes left. Where are we? So many questions. Sometimes it's a conversation, so trying to find a question. It says that is the same thing every member of a religion says. I don't know what is the same thing everyone in religion says in terms of what exactly. Okay, we're going to have to check out the website to find out what's going on with that. Mischief NZ, I'm of a Pacific and European descent. I'm of Pacific European descent. Do I have a chance of at being part of the 144,000 and will be the 104,000 be only human beings ascended to the supreme being status? Everyone has a chance because no one knows for sure that they're going to make it or not make it. It's down to you and your works and what you do in terms of your transformation and your elevation. So no one can tell you that, yeah, I'm definitely one of the 144,000 because, you know, only the person doing the picking knows the names that are on the list. And okay, somebody else is saying that the mobile website is down, not the desktop. And someone else is saying the desktop is down, not the... But I can... So that's a contradiction. So someone is saying the mobile is up. I pulled it up, so it's on the mobile, it's fine. But definitely we're going to look into the website to see if there are any issues. Okay. Oh yeah, I found that JX you were talking about. What can we do? I've covered that. NPC in the chat. Okay. Any more questions? I am trying to astray project through sleep paralysis. Is there any advice that you have for me? I am a beginner in this and would like to know your opinion on that. I'm not quite sure what you mean, but if you're trying to practice how to do sleep, project through sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis, as the word paralysis, is related to you when you're paralyzed and can't move, when you're having an out-of-body experience, and it takes a while for you to your real essence to return back into your body. So the question is not very clear, but if you're saying you want to learn how to do it, that comes with not being afraid, practicing and knowing that you know what you're doing, because people can get caught out or, you know, not return to their body, and that's, you know, they get lost and trapped out in the realms. So you kind of have to know what you're doing with the right intentions and so on and so forth. Okay, people are still talking about the website. Which are the good scroll for practice Wu-Sabat? All the scrolls are good. That's from Flora, Confidence. All the scrolls are good. I mean, you have to choose what scrolls jump at you or you resonate with by even the title, the cover, and what you want to know. So once you read one scroll, it kind of helps you to lead to the other scrolls. So it depends on where you're coming from as well, what is interesting to you. Some people are tired of religion and they just want to know, you know, the scientific information. They want to know about extraterrestrials. They want to know different things. So it all depends on your interest. Oh, DB, I'm glad you received the book. You just told me I finally received book. Excellent. That's a good place to start for the person that was just asking. That book, we tried to keep it as, small and concise as possible so you can carry it with you, but it's packed with a lot of information and things that you can just, reference straight away. That's this book here, Fast Track Your Spiritual and Conscious Journey. If you haven't got your copy already, it's excellent. It's designed in a way that no other book is designed. It's full color, and it's got some very unique features. And as I said, it's compact so that you can carry it, but it's very, very informative with a lot of information. And it gives you links to the websites and recommends many other scrolls by the master teacher, Panda Babyanun. Where are we? Okay, that was for you, Flora. And thanks, DB, for confirming that. And any master secret scroll or actual fact scrolls and ancient Egyptian scroll. Okay, that was you giving, giving some recommendations. Dion Fuller, I really would appreciate it if whomever is calling in will keep it short and sweet. There are many people calling in trying to get their questions answered, Dion Fuller. No, I hear you. I try to let people know, but thanks again, JX. JX, you're showing us so much love today. I'm going to have to, let me just finish that one. Or should I?
Do the call and do the...
All right, Jay, I'm coming back to you. Rahul Bat, caller, where are you calling from? And what's your question and your name, please?
Hey, brother. It's the Cod, once again from Arizona. I've noticed a lot of people, specifically melanated people, we have, I've had to check myself about it, but we have a lot of this thing of someone coming back or something coming back and saving us. And I've just kind of come to the realization of, I think we need to save ourselves, I feel like we need to awaken ourselves and stop waiting on other people. But I could be wrong.
No,
What do
you're
you
right.
think?
100%. There's no one coming for a start. So that waiting is in vain. And this is our problem because people have been waiting for over 2,000 years for someone to come. And the reality is when you use Wu-Sabat and common sense and you ask people, like, okay, let's just take the Jesus thing, for example. People are waiting for Jesus to come back and save them. Firstly, if you ask people, where is he coming, when is he coming, and what is it going to look like, what location specifically is he going to come, and how is he going to come? Because there is this programming and illusion that he's just going to come down from the sky. And it's like, that doesn't even make sense because you can't even breathe 6 miles off the planet. So is he going to come in a spacesuit, in a spacecraft? Is he an extraterrestrial? Wherever he's going to be, how are people around the world going to know that he's there? And the people on the other side of the world where it's not day yet, is he coming in the daytime, what they call daytime, or in the shadow hours, what they call nighttime? It's just like ridiculous. And what is he going to look like? Is he going to be wearing a robe? Is he going to have blonde hair and blue eyes? And, if he's wearing a robe and he's happening to be, where is he going to land in Alaska with no coat? And if anybody right now, anywhere on the planet arrived and or just put on, I think it's happened already because I saw some social media with a guy wearing a white robe in Africa somewhere saying he was Jesus, blonde hair and all of that. You probably get arrested, beaten, because what's going to be the de facto of how are you going to know that is this person you expected? He's not coming back, hasn't come back for 2,000 years, and people are still waiting in vain. The only person that has come and is here and is doing the works is Panda Babyanun. and he's teaching and giving you all the answers to everything you want to know. So he's even telling you what's going to happen before it happens by way of predictions, and so on and so on and so forth. He even tells you in the book that it's an angel that's going to come. It didn't say Jesus was coming back. There's no way that it says that. So you're right. The master puts it like this: the helping hand that you're looking for is at the end of your own arm. We have to save ourselves. And what are we? The other thing is, what are you saving yourself from? What does it mean to be saved? Because you can save something to eat later, as in food. And then we go into the extraterrestrials that are saving food by way of being put on the menu, men, you, right? And to take away for food. So this whole saving and being saved, what are you being saved from? You got to be saved from yourself for a start, that mindset and the belief and the religions and, you know, so on and so forth. So you're right, 100%. We have to save ourselves. No one ain't coming to save you. All right, we've got another caller. Hey, Kaiser, people are saying you got to keep it short because people are trying to get through. So what's your question this time, Zamal?
Yeah, thank you, Zamal. Yeah, gratitude. Yeah, I tried to ask a question that not just me would like. I'm sure everyone wants to know about the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I will definitely keep it in mind.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. So another thing that everyone wants to know about is all the beings that are living in the inner earth, like our family and relatives that are there, the Tarot, Darrow, and extraterrestrials. So that ties into remember about the Aurora Borealis. So I was interested about that as well. How does they connect? And there are people and beings. I remember watching a lot of different things, videos, and they're telling me that there are children. Sometimes that one Caucasian boy went there and he had like a in the earth, and he had like a juice that he drank, grape juice, and when he came back up, he was healthier. The child was very sick.
Right.
So it's like they must have a lot of advanced technology in the inner earth, but the average person won't even think about stuff like that. So definitely interested to know about that, and like also what is a rainbow? You know, what does a rainbow represent? There's a lot of theories. I believe that a rainbow is a connection to Asgard, like, and also a message by Anu, the Most High God, that we are going to be protected. It's a symbol, but like we want to know what is the actual meaning of the rainbow. Is it did Anu make the rainbow to show we're protected? And I seen the rainbow all the time, and then I feel a connection to it. Like I said, I think it has to do with Asgardian portal. But there's a lot of like the wonders of the world, basically.
Right.
You know, pretty much everyone wants to know. You know, like Stonehenge and also Easter Island.
Yeah, you're jumping around a lot now.
Yeah.
All right. Let me,
all those things.
Yeah.
All those things.
You're in tune, because look out for a video we've done on the extraterrestrials and Shambhala and all of that coming out. But as far as the extraterrestrials, they do have technology. They have advanced, civilizations. So people that have managed to go into Shambhala, into the caverns, have met with some of these extraterrestrials, and they have given them technology or given them cures to various things. So that sounds very feasible if they gave him some kind of cure to drink that helped him. As far as the rainbow is concerned, you're dealing with fractals and how the rays or light. If you look in the like Google or the European anatomites breakdown, they will tell you it's about how the light going through the raindrops, how it's split and then forms the colors, such as like a prism. But we also know that in the religious text, it talks about, the world not being destroyed by water anymore, as in the floods, how most other, I was mentioning before how when the new world was going to begin, how, you know, floods were used to wipe out people and then start all over again. But that a sign or a symbol was put in the skies as a reminder that the world will no longer be destroyed by water, but it will be by fire. The fire that is being referred to is the sun. And this is where we're talking about the sun cycle, this time period that we're in, and that, you know, in the books of Malachi, chapter 4, verse 2 specifically, is talking about, you know, the sun of righteousness coming with healing in its wings. And how does the sun relate? Because when you look at if you put light through a prism, you see it split up into the different colors or the vibrations. And the highest one is the one that people will say purple, but it's actually indigo, and that relates to the indigo children. And it's the stage before the black, right? Because the black light is the light, or shall I say, it's the time before light. So the rainbow is giving you the different vibrations in terms of moods and colors, and it's showing you that when you pass that indigo, you're going back into darkness or supreme darkness, which is where they will tell you that God was in darkness before he said, let there be light. But it's talking about and really showing you about going back into, supreme balance and going back into that state of mind which predates chaos, So what the sun cycle is doing is coming around to get rid of the chaos. The aurora borealis, as you mentioned, which is they call them the northern lights, that's because there's an inner sun in the center of the earth. And because the planet itself can overheat from the outside sun, what happens is that the planet rotates, and it's one side is referred to as being in the shadow state, because the sun doesn't actually stop shining. It's just that the planet rotating so that one side of it is cool and the other side is facing the sun, and then it rotates so that the other side gets cooled off. If not, it will overheat. And if the two lights with the center sun and the outer sun were to actually align, and they could actually, like we say, burn up the planet. So those lights are kind of deflected or directed away so that we avoid that situation. This is what the master broke down many years ago in, I think the name of the recording is called Who Lived Before Adam and Eve. So if you can find that on YouTube, watch and listen to that, and it explains a bit more about the Northern Lights. All right. I still haven't done the
donation.
Yeah. Let me do that. JX. Thanks again. What is Wu-Sabat's teaching on the sexual energy of man? Are we only supposed to engage in the act for procreation? Is semen the life force of man? And what benefits does man get from practicing retaining? Yes, it is the life force. And obviously you can harness energy and you can channel energy and utilize it in a better way. So yes, if you harness that energy by refraining and semen retention is that energy, you can actually use it to channel it to the mind to do more greater things. So yes, but at the same time, Wu-Sabat is about balance. And if you are in a meaningful relationship or you've got a partner and so forth, then we're not saying like you cannot have sexual relations with your partner, but it has to be and should be balanced like everything else in Wu-Sabat. And it's not just, just like for the sake of it or lustful and going into the six ether forces. So like everything else, if, you don't go to the extremes of either way, then it's about being balanced. And it's like there's a science and there's an art to sex, and you've got to know and learn both the science and the art of it, so that you know what you're doing, because it's a serious thing in terms of procreation, because you're going to bring a being into this realm, and you're dealing with energies that are coming by way of that being, and you have to be in a position where you're bringing in the right type of energy. And yeah, so I hope that's answered that question for you. But yeah, we don't go to either extremes, because it can also be unhealthy if you don't know, and you're just like retaining it but not knowing how to channel it and utilize it in another way. All right. Did you have something?
No.
Oh, okay. Isn't anyone tired of complaining? Isn't anyone tired of black on black crime? Tired of blacks being took advantage of? Absolutely. And the reason, this is from Glow Mobile News. That's why we have to take into our own. We have to put into action and do things to do that, because when you look at other races that are organized, that are, behaving in a particular way and providing for themselves, they are not subjected to the same type of, say, police brutality or any of the injustices as we are. No, we are different, because we are, every people have that love-hate relationship with us, where they love us for everything, but also there's that, hate's a strong word, but there can be that jealousy in terms of our abilities and the fact that we are those extraterrestrials that they're trying to find. Ancient Egyptian DNA from 5,000 to 10,000 years. Yeah, even before that, we predate everyone and everything on the planet. In captive slavery times, we prayed for 500 years and no Jesus came to save us. That's right. We are not waiting anymore and praying and becoming the prey. What's this? I'll get you on the live and teach or ask questions that can't be answered. Is that being who has stood in front of and said, ask me anything? 100%. Peace, blessings from Chester. Most people can save themselves. They have to stop playing God games. That's right. No more God games. Rahul Bazamar, do you have access to any of the attire? I would like to reopen our store in. Yes, definitely. Reach out and let's have that conversation. That's Dion Fuller. I can't read. Can you see that? Mischief NZ. There's kind of some funny writing. Maybe it's a different language, I don't know. Right, folks, with these long ass questions not being considerate. Yeah, we got to be considerate and think of other people. This is crazy. Aurora borealis and rainbows. I'm hoping we can talk about Black Root Science creation story and ancient information from Botswana. Yeah, go on.
There you go.
Rahubat, who's calling? What's your name and where you calling from? What's your question?
Hey, brother. Scott again from Arizona. My question is, I get confused with, I don't believe that the creator would say that just because we're melanated that we are better or special, but then I also hear that white people didn't exist at one point in time, but then we have the Pleiadians. Could you explain that to me?
Sure. Yeah, we are not the Pleiadians, and Because if you look at who Pleiadians are, how they're shown, they actually look like blonde hair, blue eye Caucasians. In terms of, genetics and historical discoveries, or like fossils and things they found, prove that we were here first. And melanin is associated with the sun, and the sun helps you to produce more melanin. So even when you start to look at life in terms of, the amoebas and evolving to, the first single cells, all the way to how melanin is responsible for, your brain, the neuromelanin, etc., that you will see that it's not that we are trying to say we're superior. It's just based on how you're measuring. What are you measuring? And, what's more potent. So it's no secret that the Caucasian was, or anybody else on the planet, comes from the original, which would be us as the original melanated beings. Everybody and everything does have melanin in it. The difference is that some are able to produce more melanin, and it becomes dominant, and others are not able to, and it's more recessive, or they are kind of like losing melanin. So yeah, it's not even about racism, and but it's natural nature. It is what it is, and no matter what, you can't change that. What was it? Was there a second part of the question?
About the Pleiadians?
Yeah, so you find out that Europeans only push and talk about the Pleiadians because they know about them, because people like Hitler was in contact with them, and the Ashtar Command, and they still meet and abduct or visit people and give them this impression that they are the supreme beings. And this is why Hitler was trying to create, what he called the Aryan race, or the supreme beings. And to him, he didn't know any better, or didn't know about, the black extraterrestrials. Like most people still don't know. It's only now it's becoming more and more known about, the black extraterrestrials, because we're actually the ones that are teaching it. And so you will find a lot of people only you're in contact will know about, the Pleiadians. And because they're actually responsible, their genetics were part of the creation of the Adamites. And so that's why they will push those beings. I forgot I even had a drink here. Yeah, so I hope that answered the question, but yeah, it is what it is in terms of natural nature. And we are not the Pleiadians, we're related to the Parnatharu and some to the Anunnaki. But more and more extraterrestrials are going to be exposed, and like everything else, the truth will come out. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, I've got to go. Okay, not too bad. We've pretty much answered most of the questions today. I had an interest in sickle cell because the Nollywood movies addresses this gene type, SCF, yet when I asked Copilot, it mentioned India, Asia, Arabic, Brazil. Does that genotype us relate? That question is confusing. Okay, I did see a craft in the sky over 15 years ago, but I don't know what it was. Rahubat Sakin and OS Ambition Team, Tawul Tak for the works. That's Hersid 432, his watcher 963. Tawuat. What about 4 others? Okay, they're talking about an extraterrestrial craft. How are the Pale Pleiadians if Pale people come from Canaan 6,000 years ago? Because the genetics of the Pleiadians come from, the genetics of the Canaanites come from the mixture with the Flugerods, and the Flugerods come from those Pleiadians. So depending on, this is what I'm saying, you have to go backwards in terms of okay, you're saying Caucasian, but you're really dealing with, when you say Caucasians, you're only dealing with a specific species of the ones that came from the Caucasus Mountains. That's not everyone. We say Adamites because the graftation is the Adamites. But as you, start to rehearse how the Adamites were grafted, they were taken from the Palladians. So it does make sense when you say, how are the Pale Palladians, if Pale people come from Canaan 600 years ago? Not 600 years ago, 6,000 years ago. All right? We've gone over time. I didn't even realize. So let me see. Yep, we've answered pretty much every question. All right, people, we're going to have to leave it there. Are there entrances to inner Earth through the North and South poles? Yes, they are. And there were in other places too. But those have now been closed and they're guarded because it's out and many people now know about the inner world. And it was first really spoken about by Panda Babyanun. All right, folks, we want to thank everybody for joining us today in another OSM Vision Ask Us Anything live stream. Remember, please share, like, subscribe, join our Telegram group so we can continue with the conversation. And until next week, same time, same place, Wadu.